Okay, so I want to talk about ring bits because I like ring bits, and I think they're a really good tool, and I think a lot of people are scared of them and don't understand them, and that's fine. But this can maybe clear up a little about what's going on. This is a Mike Morales ring bit on Cavalry Shank. I've got quite a few ring bits and I use them a lot. I've got more than I've got stacked out here. I don't use this one very much because this is something that you would use on a pretty darn broke horse, like a finished horse. And for a lot of ring bits, and I'll explain with some of these, they're not really meant for a finished horse. But the way this works, the bit goes on like that. And a lot of people think that the ring works as a curb. Doesn't go that deep in my mouth though. That the ring works as a curb, and it doesn't. If it's being used right, that ring never engages as a curb. But it fits in their mouth like that. And so with a ring bit, you've got lots and lots of signal. You've got up here, you've got a pressure on the cheeks of the horse, like you would with a snaffle or like you would with the triggers of a spade bit. You've got tongue pressure. You've got bar pressure when this bit rotates and presses the tongue against the bar. You've got curb pressure, and like I said, this doesn't engage up under the chin groove, but it does engage on the sides of the chin groove, but not under it. And then you've got pole pressure, and that's why I have a lot of these ring bits with a hanger instead of a headstall, the same way a guy would a hackamore. Just like with a hackamore, with that hanger, you get quite a bit more pull pressure. You can see it pulls my hand down there when I rotate that bit. And so most of the time, after you've pulled on a ring bit about twice, you don't ever have to pull on it again, because if you engage everything all at once and you have all 5 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have all 5 of those signals all at once, that horse really has a lot of respect for that bit, and you hardly ever have to really pull on it. This bit in particular, the ring, as you can see, rotates on there, and this was made for a guy. You'd take this in the spring when your horses have been turned out all winter, your bridle horses, and you'd put your ring on it and you'd tune him up a little bit after he'd been fat and sassy from being turned out all winter, and then you just unhook these chains, which I've never done. It seems like it'd be a terrible pain in the butt to me. And you unscrew that ring, and then you've just got a regular old half-breed bit, and you'd ride him the rest of the year with that half-breed. And then a guy might put that on in the fall right before he was ready to turn him out again and give him another good tune-up. This is one I use the most. I don't have this one on a hanger, as you can see. I've got it on a headstall. The reason being, I ride this on a lot of young horses, and people can say, well, that's no kind of bit for a young horse. The actual original intent for these were to be something that you could ride any horse in. Every horse culture around the world, everywhere in the world, has developed some version of the ring bit, and the idea with the ring bit is you can get on any horse, and within a few minutes you've got him under control to where you can ride him real well. And so you can ride a young horse in it. It's probably not gonna be something that you wanted to show in the snaffle bit fraternity, but you can take on the ranch and go to using one of these, and in a very short amount of time have a horse with a pretty nice handle on it. This horse has no leverage at all, and you can see, because it doesn't have any purchase, it doesn't have any leverage. And then it's got the broken ring here, which and it's contoured as well. That contour and that break in that ring just makes that a lighter, easier signal for that horse, and they can kind of figure stuff out a lot better. The same way that the break in a snaffle bit makes it easier for a horse to figure out a direct signal. This one also rotates, so in theory you could take this one off too. I just don't know why you would. Okay, this one, you can see it also doesn't have any purchase, so make it non-leverage, but it's actually negative leverage because it takes any leverage that it could get away. So I actually have to be, if I want a pound of pressure on this, I have to pull with, say, 2 or 3 pounds of pressure to get a pound of pressure. Where most bits that have leverage, if you pull with 1 pound of pressure, you get 2 or 3 pounds of pressure. So this bit is negative leverage, so it's really quite mild. Again, it's got a contoured and a broken ring that darn sure needs to go in the shop and get a little repair on it. This is a really, really old bit. I don't know who made this. You can see forge marks on it, hammer marks on it, but this is a good bit. I've also got a hanger on it. This is one that, after I've used that other one for a little bit and kind of got a handle on my horse and they've got to where they're really riding around in these rings pretty good, I'll go ahead and use this, and then I can really get a lot of carriage from this pole pressure, a lot of self carriage, and that's just the weight of the reins will put enough pole pressure on there. My rein chains put enough pole pressure on there that they want to start developing some self carriage. This last one here is an old Colonial style Mexican ring bit. It's also negative leverage, as you can see. This little doohickey here, I've been asked about it a lot. The idea is it works as a slobber bar just like any bit, so you don't get your rope hung up under here. But the reason it's built the way it is this way a horse can't graze with it, which I think is kind of funny. But you know, in Colonial Mexico or Colonial California, where a bit like this was real popular, it was pretty normal to just step off your horse and walk off. And this keeps the horse from grazing in the bit. Anyway, it's got a contoured ring, but it's not broken. That's just a hammered out forged ring. And this bit's quite a little bit narrower than a standard bit. I use this on young horses that really want to be knotheads. You know what, a guy can take and lope a lot of circles and do a lot of stuff with one that wants to be a knothead. Or I can put this on and I can ride 3 or 4 miles up the way there and check on one of these springs, and by the time I come back, he's thinking he wants to see things my way, and I put a snaffle bit back on him. And it's not that he goes to thinking things my way because this is so severe and I hurt him. It's because this has so much really good and easy communication. It's so easy for him to understand what's going on with this. Makes my work a lot easier. So those are just a few ring bits, and that's kind of how they work. They're like I say, they're not as spooky as they look. They do look pretty wild, but they're not as spooky as they look, and they're not hard to use. A kid that was helping us here last year said he wanted to learn how to use one. I handed him one and I said, go trot to that cattle guard that's 10 miles away and trot back. By the time you get back, you'll know how to use it. It's just a bit. There's no magic in it, but they work really well. And they get your, I'm getting signals from my cameraman here, and I don't know what they mean. This is kind of a Joe Biden moment. But they get your horse handling between the reins real fast and real easy. Thanks. Okay, the signals I was getting from the camera woman was how to measure for a ring, which is hilarious to me. But the traditional way that you measure for a ring, and I've done this with 3 or 4 of them that I've made, and it works. You take your horse and you trim him down to right where you're going to shoe him. So trim him down, have everything rasped off pretty, and then you set his foot on a piece of paper, and then you take a marker and you outline that foot. And you have to, like I say, you have to have it trimmed down to where you're going to shoe him, to where it's at its smallest point that you're going to have it. And you make an outline of that foot, and then you go in the shop and you build a ring that's that same size. And that, for some reason or another, works without fail to fit around the contour of their jaw and fit in there really good. So obviously, this is for a real small horse or a mule, because that's an awful little ring. That's a pretty darn big ring on that one, and in fact, that ring's too big for a lot of the kind of horses I ride. It's part of why I don't use it that much. And being that it's a Morales, I'm not going to take the ring off and put a different one on because I'll lose it. But that's how you figure the circumference of that ring. As far as the contours and the this and that, I've never done it to this one, but several of my other ones, I've put it in the horse's mouth and not like the way it sat, so I've taken it over to the anvil and pounded on it, put some more contour in it, done some different things. But that's the trick with that ring.